The Alpha Sessions with Alan Joyce.
So this is the Alpha Sessions. I'm Alan, and I'm very pleased to be joined in the studio by Nata. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Loads to ask you. A really exciting time for you at the moment, because I know that recently, as we record this, you've just released your first single, which we'll talk about.
I have indeed.
It does sound amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
I've been listening to that in the car, and it's been great.
Hey.
So let's talk about your story, which started in Moldova, which is where you were born, wasn't it?
Yes.
So where have your travels taken you in terms of how did you end up being in London?
So I was born in Moldova, and for the people who have heard of it, I'd be very pleasantly surprised. I'd love to meet you.
Really? People have not heard of Moldova?
Yeah, so the thing is, when you say Moldova, people just kind of go like, is that the Eurovision country?
Yes.
Like, okay. That's actually a different story. But,
okay.
So I was born in Moldova. I kind of just grew up in Eastern Europe, and I did music, focusing on musical theatre. So I did acting and ballet and bits and pieces. And then when I was 13, I got a little deal of moving to Hertfordshire to go to Training Park School.
Right.
To do musical theatre. It was a little scholarship, and I loved the idea of it. And I moved, and here I am.
This is when you were 13?
I was 13, yeah.
Wow.
So I basically relocated to boarding school. And then that took me to London when I was 16, because I kind of got really fed up with the whole boarding school vibe. And yeah, it was fun for a while though. So, and here I am.
Had you been to London before? Was it your first time over here when you
came
to school?
No. I used to do a lot of like summer camps, programs. So everything I was doing back home was kind of directed to the UK, because there's no musical theatre industry in Moldova as such. So everything was kind of based on like different English Foundation and charities, and life kind of took me here. So, yeah.
So for those of us who don't know too much about Moldova, if you had to kind of sell it to someone as you should go here.
God.
Like describe what's its good points?
This is really dangerous, because my family life is on the line right now.
No, you got to sell it.
It's like, it really like depends on what I say. So it's okay. So it got the reputation of being the most alcoholic country in the world.
Right. Okay.
Right.
That's a good place to start.
It's an amazing place to start.
Yeah.
But I can tell you why. I can't give you like technical terms for it, but they have a really sort of like big wine industry.
Right.
It's pretty underrated, because they have like these massive like vineyards and stuff, and a lot of the wine brands that people would know about actually come down to Moldova to grow their grapes and stuff. Oh, my mum could explain this so much better than me. But so that's kind of what's happening, and there's a lot of access to wine, to cheap wine.
Okay.
And yeah, but it's just a really funny, thing to sell it with. So
I mean, you've sold it to me already, but
exactly.
Yeah, right. Okay.
The wine is really good though.
Is
like I released Chocolate and Red Wine. That's my single, so obviously you can tell.
So this is where it all comes from, is it?
From.
Okay, yeah, right, fine. We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
So anything else that you would particularly recommend for Moldova other than the alcohol?
God, this made me sound so bad. Okay. Honestly, it's a very underrated place, but it's also, I mean, if you're into history, right? So it's like it used to be part of the Soviet Union, and if you're into the whole post-socialist historical vibe, Moldova is the place to go. And I know it's like I think it's like the least visited country in the world at the moment.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, not after
which makes
you've
it even
talked
more
about it.
I sold it.
Yeah.
Which is more interesting to visit, because it's kind of like, it's very, it's just a very post-socialist vibe.
In terms of other places that you've been, for one thing, I know that you're trilingual, is that right?
Yes.
So what languages do you speak?
So I speak Romanian, I speak Russian, and I speak English.
Okay. And have you written any songs in the other two languages?
Yes, but
I'm not going to ask you
but
to
they
perform
don't
them now.
exist.
Okay.
They only exist in my head. I actually tried to perform it. I started writing. I started a new thing, right? Is when I write a song, and I get into this like really like melancholic vibe on the piano,
Yeah.
and then I just like start wandering off in Russian. And I know that Regina Spektor's done that before, so I try it a couple times. I'm like, maybe one day this will come out.
Yeah. So in terms of your songwriting, you don't originally think of the lyrics in Russian, then you will write it in English.
I definitely think, yeah.
Okay. So how did the whole songwriting and performing thing start for you? At what age did you decide this is what you wanted to do?
So I wrote my first song. Okay, so I tell people that I wrote my first song when I was 11.
Right.
But in reality, I wrote my first song when I was 8.
Okay.
Which should be more of like, of a hype. But it's not, because my first song was about a doll.
Okay.
So I don't want to embarrass myself. So I just keep saying that. My first like actual pop song I wrote when I was 11.
So you released your first song at 11, or you wrote?
No, I wrote my first song when I was 11. Not 8. But yeah.
I mean, so this song that you wrote that you didn't when you were 8 years old, do you still remember it?
I do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm not going to ask you to perform it, don't worry. But I mean, did you perform it to people at the time in school?
The 8-year-old song or the 11-year-old song? Oh, no, the 8-year-old song was about a doll.
Okay.
And I remember writing it, and I was living in Bordeaux back then, and I approached my friend. I'm like, look, I wrote a song about a doll. And she's like, wow, you're crazy. And it's like, and then I thought it was really good, but obviously it wasn't. And then my friend was like I wasn't into singing. I was never like a singer, Just kind of got into singing because I was songwriting and musical theatre. But my friend was taking singing lessons at the time, and I was like, can I be your manager? Can I be your manager and songwriter? And you take this song and we'll make like a little pop star out of you. Didn't happen. So
it's gutting. Well,
she was like, this sounds bad. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Absolutely. And here you are. And so why did it take then 3 years to write your second song? Sorry, your first song.
My first song. I don't know. I feel like it was weird. When the song that I wrote aged 8, it was a Romanian song, Moldovan song.
Right.
And then I wrote my first English song when I was 11, which was really weird because I didn't think in English back then. So
I was going to say, you weren't living in England then.
No, I wasn't. But I kind of, I don't know. It was weird. So I had to I think my first language in my head back then was Russian. I'm pretty sure it was. It's kind of transferred over the years. But I remember translating the song bit by bit, and then it actually came out sounding okay. And I recorded it a few years later, and I posted it on YouTube. It's down now, but...
Shame. Can we have a campaign to get it back up again?
Oh God, it's not. I'm not like embarrassed. Yeah. I'm definitely embarrassed at the 8-year-old song that I wrote,
okay.
but the 11-year-old was like, it's okay.
And were you listening to a lot of English music at the time? I mean, what sort of stuff did you grow up listening to?
Yeah, I mean, I did. Well, I feel like my genre at the moment is like highly influenced by everything. Everything is a combo. So. Growing up, my dad would play a lot of like post-Soviet Russian music,
right.
Which is kind of like this weird sounding 90s Russian rock and roll, and a lot of Soviet ballads as well, which I, by the way, think they're great because it like inspired the melodic side of my songwriting. And then my mum would listen to this I call it mum pop.
Okay.
It's like the 90s, like the whole Mariah Carey. It's not really mum pop, but the
Westlife, was it stuff like that?
Yeah. There we go. Loads of like George Michael and like all that good stuff. And
so have you come to like that stuff now, or Does it still make you cringe a bit?
It doesn't. I mean, I definitely think that's great music. Even my dad's like rock and roll, Russian rock and roll, and it did have an impact on this, you know. But it's because also I'm a classically trained pianist. Well, that's a really bold statement, but I did classical piano lessons when I was younger, and then I graduated when I was like 11 from that music school. Carried on doing piano, so the way I write my songs from an instrumental point of view is pretty classical influenced as well. But nowadays I listen to a lot of like pop and hip hop.
Right. Oh wow. So a lot of different influences going on, which explains your sound. And we'll come on to that in a minute. But that's quite an eclectic mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's on your you know, if we were to look at your playlist now, what was on your Spotify playlist or something, what sort of artists would be on there?
Do you want me to like actually?
I mean, you've got it right in front of you. Yeah.
I can give you the last song that I listened to.
Okay, you might.
Oh, this is really risky.
This could be dangerous. This could be anything.
Oh God.
No, you got to say it now.
Okay, so it's "Lover" by Taylor Swift.
Okay, interesting. Because actually, so many artists who come in here are massive Taylor Swift fans, but obviously they've gone down the more country genre.
I'd be surprised if I met a songwriter, no matter what you write. I'd be surprised if I met a songwriter who isn't into Taylor Swift or did not have at least a Taylor Swift phase. Like.
And what is the reason for that, in your opinion?
I don't know. There's too much to say about this. So even okay. So going back to the 11-year-old song, because I was doing everything classical at the time, but I was listening to a lot of I started developing my own music taste, and I remember listening to a lot of country music, not like root country, but like the pop country. So that was Taylor Swift back then. It's 10 years ago, Taylor Swift, and I remember thinking that this is so cool. Like the country has such a good songwriting structure, and Taylor Swift and all that phase of the rising Carrie Underwood, X Factory, country, Kelly Clarkson was a thing. I really wanted to feel like I'm part of that scene. So I feel like I wrote a song to try out songwriting.
And were you into the whole reality TV thing as well growing up?
Not really.
Did
no,
you have that so
honest.
much in Moldova?
No, but I have a funny story about that. Because when I was younger, I had a little TV phase. So we had you guys have Teen Star. Yeah. We had this similar thing in Moldova. I think they still do. So I went on Teen Star. I think I was 9 or 10. And that was fun.
That's amazing.
And my first single was about my grandma. So
these were cover versions, presumably, because you weren't writing songs at this stage. So what sort of stuff were you performing on?
No, I had a... so it was all Moldovan. And so my first song, they're all originals. So my first song was about my grandma. Okay. That me and the guy who produced it wrote. He wrote it for me, and he's like, there you go. It was all really commercialized, obviously, very Eastern European. I made sure all those clips are down, by the way. When I was growing up, I was like, right.
You read my mind. I was going to Google that. Yeah.
Everyone says that. You have no idea how many people are still hunting me about this. Yeah. No way.
But did you love the experience? Did you get a taste for it then? Was that the kind of, around that time, did you decide that you wanted to do that as your thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was that was a big step. I hate the weather, the traffic and the pressure, the way you say that people are incapable of hate. The single coffees, those writers with no stories. I hate the fact that I can love myself the way that you do. Hey, would you stay in black and white? Would you run until the sky turns back to blue? I never meant to start to fight, but the shadow overtakes my love for you. I've learned to run, but I can't learn to stay. I wish I had a heart that didn't stray. My brain is like a waterfall, and you can't stop the flow. I'm trying quietly, so just keep loving me for both of us. I said I'm sorry and traced my territory, 'cause that's what people do to just escape reality. And all the red lights will stand in the way sometime, but you're here to dye my thoughts back to green. Hey, and I know I'm black and white, but I'm slowly painting my skies back to blue. My thoughts are in a constant fight, and I get confused between who's fake or true. I've learned to run, but I can't learn to stay. I wish I had a heart that didn't stray. My brain is like a waterfall, and you can't stop the flow. I'm trying quietly, so just keep loving me for both of us. I've learned to run, but I can't learn to stay. I wish I had a heart that didn't stray. My brain is like a waterfall, and you can't stop the flow. I'm trying quietly, so just keep loving me for both of us.
The Alpha Sessions with Alan Joyce.
So let's fast forward then to you moving over here and doing writing school and everything. So how did your songwriting develop once you sort of relocated here?
Honestly, I don't know, because I started writing a lot during my musical theatre days. So back in boarding school, say 1 year in, I realised that it's not really my thing, you know, it's everything. Musical theatre, boarding school, homesickness.
Yeah.
So I started finding ways of get away from that and express myself. And as you may know, like everything from the classical point of view in music, including musical theatre, is very grounding and character-based. And I wanted to be myself, and I feel like songwriting, as cheesy as it sounds, allowed me to do so. And by like second year in boarding school, I basically dropped out of the vocational course, and I had an amazing like head of the course who kind of understood me and understood what I wanted to do, but couldn't really like drop me out, obviously. So she was like, "Here's a writing room. You have 3 hours a day," because it was a really intense like vocational training school. You have 3 hours a day, write as many songs. At the end of the day, at the end of the trimester, I'll assign someone from like the A-level commercial music course to come and listen to your songs, and then you'll be under the supervision of someone who I never met. So it basically just gave me this like complete like creative freedom and a writing room, and I was like, fabulous. And I managed to write, and I had a lot to say, and I managed to write maybe a good like 30 songs in 1 year.
Oh, wow.
With no like writing experience, you know. So it was like by that point I probably wrote like 3 or 4 songs, and then just completely had the freedom to learn how to write.
And that was it for you, was it? It was just someone sort of basically saying, to give you that freedom to write whatever you wanted to.
Yeah, that was it. And then,
In terms of how you sort of structure your songwriting, though, what did you learn during that course that you sort of didn't know before?
The degree. A lot. It gave me that, mathematical feel to songwriting that I never really gained before. Also, this is funny because when I moved down to London, I did college, and I was supposed to do that for 2 years, and then I dropped out after 1 year to do a degree.
Right.
But I was going to do music business because that was kind of my interest all along. And that didn't work out because I can't remember. I think it was I didn't have enough credit because I was 17, etc., etc. So I had the choice between studying an instrument, because I definitely wanted to say music, instrument or songwriting. And that's when I was like, all right, might as well.
Yeah.
But I never really thought of songwriting is something I want to study,
Yeah.
So, and it was fun. It was good fun.
That's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about where you're at now in terms of the songwriting, because as we mentioned, you've just released, or fairly recently released, your debut single, which is very exciting, Chocolate and Red Wine, going back to the theme of what we were talking about at the start of the programme. So firstly, tell us how the song came about and a bit about the song.
So I was studying songwriting and I was first year, and that was kind of the peak of the course for me, and I think for everyone, because we had the lessons are structured really, really well. So we had sessions, can't remember how many exactly, but say like two sessions per week, where you come in and it's a lesson, it's a lecture. You study like style and genre, and then you study what was it? And then you study like lyric writing, and you're assigned a song type something theme. Mm-hmm. So every week was different, and then it started off for something really simple, like write a love song, write a song about family, and then that week it was write a song about enlightenment, right? So let's say it was a Thursday. I'm just making it up, but let's say it was a Thursday, and then the song was due in let's say it was a Wednesday, and the song was due in Friday. So that Wednesday I didn't write, and then Thursday I had work, and then I had a deadline to write a song by Friday or something. And then so my friend had a gig on Thursday, and it was like a headline gig. It was a big deal. We all went out, and I had a lot of wine.
Okay. We're spotting a theme here.
This is where the story starts, really. Yeah. But I had a lot of wine, and I was first year, don't judge me, I was 18. And I was not very responsible of the fact that I had a whole song to write for tomorrow. And I was basically going home rather tipsy and thinking to myself, how in the world am I going to write a song about enlightenment? And at first, when we were assigned these things, I usually think to myself on the train, this is what I'm going to make it about. And I really wanted to write a really, deep spiritual song. It's a subject that would allow me to do so. And then I'm there on the train back home at 2 a.m. and I'm like, right, so what did I realize today? Let's write this song about enlightenment. And I get home, and I had a person in mind that I really wanted to write about, that I kind of happened to spend that day with. And I was like, I can rebrand. I don't have to write anything spiritual, I can just rebrand the word enlightenment and write what something that I really want to write at this current moment, and just storyteller way. Sat at the piano, and I started telling the story about tonight, about the gig, and you can hear it in the song because it's my friend's headline. What's the lyrics? Something. So he's so proud to do a headline. And it's all true. It's all true events that I literally just sat down and was remembering and I was writing. And then I wrote everything in like half an hour, apart from the last verse. And then I came back to it and rewrote the last verse again. I mean, added on last verse. And I had a song. And then when I played it in class, I thought it was really bad because it didn't actually, like, the song doesn't have a chorus.
Right.
It's like a strophically structured song. And then the class was like, oh my God, no, this should be your first single. I'm like, it's only like the 5th song that I write this semester. Give it time.
Yeah.
But nothing better really happened.
But that is presumably quite often the way, that if you get other people to hear your tracks, they might spot something in the track that you didn't in the first place.
It's true, yeah. It's honestly part of the reason I decided to make it my first single was because over the years the song's kind of become my brand, and it's a strong metaphor to what I am as a person. Like chocolate and red wine is just like these attributes, you know, they're like a symbol to my life and to the story that I tell in the song. So
yeah.
I was like, it has to be out. I have to present myself to the world first.
So once the song was written for Chocolate and Red Wine, did you kind of immediately know how it was going to sound? Because it's very complex production, and you've been involved in all parts of that, haven't you? So
more or less, yeah.
Tell us how it kind of transferred from what you originally wrote to how the final production came about.
So again, my style has really, really changed over the years because it's been 3 years since I wrote the song, nearly 3 years. But I write a lot more pop, like, I can't define it, but I used to write a lot more like classical-based pop. So Chocolate and Red Wine essentially is that. It's very like instrumental on the piano. Kind of very extended to its biggest extent, you know, dramatic, theatrical.
Yeah, it's very orchestral production.
Very orchestral. Yeah. So when I was like kind of fresh, straight out of musical theatre, I did have a lot of theatrical influences, and I started off even at uni, first year, I would only write ballads, very dramatic ballads, similar to Chocolate and Red Wine.
So in terms of putting the production of it together, I mean, you play most of the stuff on there anyway, don't you? So
this amazing guy called Aaron Thompson. I love how I just like plugged it in there. He's awesome. Like so he produced the song. We're working together on my second single, possibly, hopefully, third single as well. He is a producer who was kind of, you know, a gem to find for me, because I initially wanted to make the song really orchestral and really dramatic, but I wanted to make it pop, you know. I wanted to keep it very down to earth and audible, is that the word? Yeah, for everyone and for all ages, etc. So I was like, look, I need something like super okay. I want to go to a classical concert with that song playing.
Yeah.
But I want, like, I don't know, like a pop beat or a hip hop beat, like drama to come on stage halfway through and start like just playing and improvising and doing their own bits. It's like, okay, cool, we can try and do that. I'm like, okay. So he's very familiar with orchestral music himself, because he plays I think he plays a trumpet, or used to play in an orchestra. I don't want to get this wrong. So he knows what orchestral music is about, and he's a pop producer. So it's a win-win. And
this has basically just sort of drawn together all the different influences that you've had over the years, and it's great, and it's a really, really good sound.
Thank you. Waiting for trains to take us home at sunrise. Knocks on the door so you don't miss the show at midnight. Watching your friend play, he's so proud to do a highlight. Back of the room, chocolate and red wine. People around, idealize us too. don't understand that I'll never belong to you. And keeping it silent is so hard when you're fine. After the night of chocolate and red wine. Don't think about us, I'm pretty sure there's nothing to say. Books lie about love and films portray the easy way. And nothing to hold on to in the city of mine, other than you, chocolate and red wine. Taxi cabs and Christmas lights, late December, empty streets by fixed skylines, late night talking. I imagine what it's like for a moment, be a part of your life. Here I am, waiting for you to walk in. It's been a long time, I don't know where to begin. I'm sorry it took a while to realize that loving you is not a crime. Loving you is chocolate and red wine.
The Alpha Sessions with Alan Joyce.
In terms of performing it live, obviously the version that you've done today is sounds quite different to that. I mean, how when you normally perform it live at some of your sort of regular nights that you do, how do you normally perform it then? Is it done on a piano or a keyboard? Or?
Yeah, so I do have a residency that should I mention now?
Yeah, let's do that now, yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a regular residency, two in fact, but one of them is more regular than the other one, at Coupette in Bethnal Green. It's a lovely bar. They're actually in the top 50 bars in the world. They're pretty cool. And it's kind of like a jazzy cocktail bar vibe. And I play there every Monday and Wednesday, 8 till 11 p.m. if you want to come down and see me.
And this is free for people to just drop in?
Free for people to drop in.
You don't have to book tickets in advance or anything like that?
Not at all. It's literally, I'm literally just a resident performer at a cocktail bar.
Amazing.
So it's a really, really good vibe. And it's really lovely. So that's where I play piano. And
do you perform a lot of your original stuff there? Or is it mainly covers or a bit of...
It's literally 50-50. So,
okay.
Yeah. So if you come down to see me, you will definitely hear my songs as well as, sing-along material. So. And
from what we were chatting beforehand, you've already had people kind of asking for this chocolate and red wine song, haven't you? Tell us the story.
Oh, God. So there was... I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for telling the story, but so there was this group who came down to the bar and they had a few drinks and I think they were all in a meeting together and one of them got a bit too drunk and was trying to take up the mic kind of vibe. And then basically came back and... No, because I was like plugging my single... I was like, oh, chocolate and red wine. Kept repeating it to himself and then comes back and goes like, can I make a request for coffee and red wine, please? And it's like, wait, what? Like, coffee and red wine? It's like, oh, she's not here. It's like, oh, but I want to hear the coffee and red wine. I'm like, do you mean chocolate and red wine? It's like, yeah.
Now, I would say that's ridiculous, but I made the same mistake earlier, so clearly that's the thing. I don't know what that says about us.
Honestly, the thing is, like, it suits the vibe. I actually even spoke to the bar manager about this. I was like, can I please get a drink named after this? Like, coffee, just create something to do with caffeine and red wine, and let's make it a Nata thing.
Yeah.
Let's make it...
That's it, yeah. That could become
would be
part
an
of what
honour.
Yeah, here we go.
Honestly.
Have to brand it after you. So let's quickly talk about some of the sort of live performances that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
Any particular highlights of venues that you've played?
Oh, honestly, I have played around, but I've also... this is a really tricky question, because I play piano for people as well as have my own project. And I only want to give myself credit for the venues that I've played as my own project, you know. But there was this... Okay, so out of the recent ones, because I've been doing a lot of residencies lately, so I haven't been playing commercial gigs as much. It's going to change very soon. But part of the residencies, in summer, I played this venue in San Diego, called Les Stats West. It's a really low-key venue, you know. It's like, it's nothing special. It's got these like old school like red curtains, but it's like a very historical venue for singer-songwriters. Jason Raz like lives apparently around the corner.
Oh, wow.
and he used to play the venue like really regularly. They have these like iconic open mics, and that was pretty cool, because they have this wall, right, where everyone like signs their name on the wall, and you can see like pretty like big names in the industry. And then speaking of Jason Raz, I signed my name right next to him, just like in bold letters, making sure that it's there. It's only a 4-letter word, you know, easy to remember.
Exactly, that's clever. So everyone who sees Jason Raz's name there is going to remember your name.
So that was good fun, because I kind of became a regular while in California, and I played a couple gigs there, so that was pretty sick.
And you mentioned just now that you played piano for other artists, so let's create a dream scenario. If you could play piano for any artist in the world, living or dead, who would be the dream collaboration that you'd play for?
I was literally thinking about it this morning, because I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I get more nervous playing piano for other people than doing my own thing. I don't know, because it's... I
mean, you know, this is your once in a lifetime opportunity.
Oh God, I can't do this because let me break this down. So I would love to play for Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Right.
Amazing.
But you can't really, because she's such an amazing pianist, and she plays piano herself, and she's got this amazing... I don't know, it would be too much pressure. But at the same time, I'd love to play in I'd love to have the title of, say, Post Malone's piano player on tour, you know.
Oh, wow.
Like, synth player.
Yeah.
So, like, it's a two-sided world that you can't really...
Well, you know, Post Malone's a regular listener of this programme, so you know, if he's listening now,
Posty,
you know what Posty. Yeah,
Posty,
exactly.
honey, I wrote a song mentioning you, so please.
Oh, really? You did?
Yeah, I did.
So let's talk about what lies ahead for 2020. What are the plans for the rest of this year?
So,
can we expect some more new music?
Yes, you can. So I'm releasing my second single very soon. Hopefully, I don't have a particular date for it yet, but hopefully end of spring. That's actually the deadline. So by end of spring, it will be out. And then I'm trying to carry on the whole seasonal cycle for the rest of the year. So hopefully summer, etc. And then I'm a resident artist at Capet. I also have a residency for Draft House. That's kind of spontaneous Thursdays, mostly Camden. I'm getting a band together now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I'm getting a band together now, and I'm planning on doing a few more trips that I don't want to jinx. Kind of similar as the California one, just play around and have a little tour. Many writing sessions.
Amazing. Sounds like an exciting... So more live music, more new music.
Just honestly, just everything. Like,
yeah, you're cramming it in.
Do you want to see my diary? It's probably the only way, because putting myself on the spot is.
Well, I mean, thanks so much for coming down today. I think we could have talked all day probably, and we'll have to get you back to get an update on how you're getting on with all the new music stuff. But if people want to find out more about you, how can they find you?
So social media is probably, Instagram is probably the best way to get hold of everything. So it's Nata, N-A-T-A, that's short for Natalie, that's my full name.
Okay.
And Music Official altogether, pretty much on any social media. And I just released a single, Chocolate and Red Wine.
Check it out.
Check it out.
It's a great tune.
Hey.
We're actually going to play out on another recent new song of yours that may at some point be coming out called No Rush. So tell us about that song.
Okay, so No Rush was written. Oh God, this is gonna make me sound really bad, right? But so
it's not alcohol again.
Yes, it is alcohol again.
I believe it.
I know, right? In my defense, I just graduated, so
okay.
The party scene. The party scene
excuse,
while you were a student.
Yeah.
Is great. No, but the funny story is that No Rush was written kind of in the same scenario, literally in the same scenario, same thing, only without a deadline.
Okay.
So there's no particular deadline, but it was kind of, I guess on the same, it was just on the same vibe. After a night out, I had a gig in a few days and I just needed more songs. So I didn't really have a strict deadline, but I did have a reason to write for. And I feel like when I have something coming up and okay, so with Draft House, that's a good example because I usually play once a month, once every 3 weeks. And when I have a gig coming up, I'm like, I haven't written a lot in like 3 weeks. I need new songs because what if people come down, they listen to the same songs, they're like, oh, Nata, like, get yourself together. Yeah. So I rush into writing like a few songs in a day. I write half songs and I do like a little mashup of the new songs. Yeah. So No Rush was kind of written in a rush.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But it's a very, very sarcastic song where I hope that people can sense my tone because Chocolate and Red Wine is very like, this is me being soft and vulnerable and strong at the same time. But No Rush is kind of like, like, this is sarcasm.
Yeah. We'll imagine a sarcastic face as you're singing it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, let's hear the song. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. Don't come back if you think about me once or twice a month. Not the perfect time to just show up out of the blue. Oh, how bloody rude of you. Don't return if you don't want me to catch on fire and burn. Anger building up, don't wanna go through this again. Walking down memory lane. When you said you want me as a friend, it's becoming a trend. Guess over. You hate to lose and you got me confused. When you said you refused, game over. I'm so scared to write love songs about you now. Ooh, you might catch the vibe and fall for me somehow, like you've done. Hesitate, I'll give you space, cause I'm familiar with the state. The only difference is that I am more experienced with feelings and all that serious. Shh, take your time. I'm in a rush so I could take another 5. Having said that, I don't mean minutes, I mean years, cause that's how long it's gonna take for you to get closer to me. When you said you want me as a friend, it's becoming a trend. get sober. You hate to lose and you got me confused when you said you refuse. Game over. And I know it's just a temporary crush. Ooh, I'll get bored if you won't find someone to laugh like I've done. This weight is exhausting on a daily basis. Yet you stuck around throughout all of my phases. Still, that doesn't give you time to decide. Getting yourself together and make up your mind. When you said you want me as a friend, it's becoming a trend. Get sober. You hate to lose and you get me confused when you said you refuse. Game over. When you said you want me as a friend, it's becoming a trend. Get sober. You hate to lose and you get me confused when you said you refuse. Game over. It's just a temporary crush. I'll get bored if you won't find someone to laugh like I've done.